Did you know that you can quilt with yarns? All kinds of cool yarns? Well, Gina Siembieda is going to show us how, and it's all because of this wonderful handy quilter couching foot. She's also going to show us about another foot, which is called the glide foot, which can get us out of all sorts of trouble. Welcome to the Handy Quilter Studio, Gina.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, we're glad to have you. The first thing that always happens when you're on the Longarm Quilting Show is you get a zinger from Handy Quilter. Now, you're an educator, so you've been here many times, but you haven't been on the set before.
Right.
So we're glad to have you.
Excited.
And today it's all about feet.
Yes. Yes. Happy feet.
Yay.
We're talking about couching first. So couching is putting yarn or something on top of the fabric.
Yeah.
And Handy Quilter has a set of 3 feet, 3 couching feet, small, medium, and large. They're color-coded now, so they're easy to tell. We go with blue, pink, or neon green, yellow.
Yep. Yeah, and they look like jewelry to me. They're so pretty with those gemstones, haha, in the middle.
It's our version of glam.
Yeah.
So this first one, was my first try. Free motion with the couching and using the yarn. Now this was kind of a sock yarn, and it kind of is not super cushy. So you kind of need something with some fullness to it.
Now I see that you can see some stitching in here.
Yeah, so you're seeing some of the stitching. Now if I was using a yarn, it was a variegated yarn, so you can't match the yarn every time because it changes.
That's right.
Something with a little bit more cush, and the quilt on the back, the white and black quilt, I used a black yarn that has a lot of fullness to it. So it was fun to do around, just outline the leaves and bring it out into the border.
But that's how you learn. Right. And that piece, it's really neat.
I love to try all different things. And that's what I just keep thinking, what else can I couch with?
A new toy to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not a knitter, but now I go to the yarn aisle and be looking at those.
Isn't it fun? It opens a whole new world. Oh boy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this was just a simple, I was trying to think of something to do for Christmas, and so just to applique on and then couch around it.
How simple. So that's how you finished your edges.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And that was my first try, and I think that second one was my second try, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Sweet. Oh, so different.
Yeah, this one was fun because I was using a cotton braid.
Wow.
So it has some movement to it, but it is kind of flat.
Wow. See, the blue is appliqué.
Yeah, that is just a print of a fabric behind it.
Okay, and then
I just kind of outlined it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so different from the others.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun one. This one was just
oh my gosh.
all I was doing is filling in. So you can kind of see, here at the beginning was what the print looked like, and I just filled it in with yarn. And I haven't made something into it. Like maybe I could use it for a bag, or even cover a chair. Or
you could cover a whole chair.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is knock your socks off to me.
That's fun.
Wow.
Yeah. And then these next two just show using a print and just going around the print. And this was kind of it had a knobbiness to it, but you don't want to use ones with big knobs of yarn because it's going to get caught in the hole.
Sure, it can't go through.
So did that one, and then the same print.
Oh wow! And look at
with
the
a different
border.
yarn, and then kind of went out into the border, just free motion.
You could add beads to this. You could really go crazy.
Oh yeah!
Wow!
Yeah,
wow!
It's lots of fun.
It's fun that the texture is such a whole different. Because with quilting we're all about texture,
right?
But this adds a whole nother thing.
Yeah, definitely adds texture.
Cool.
So I thought maybe we'd put a foot on and let you see it in motion. Okay, and I'm just going to show you how to change your foot. We have a nice little hex and this is spring-loaded. Oh. People say I make it look easy because it is kind of tight, but if you need to get up in there a little bit extra, you can lift up. And so we put that back on, and tighten that back up, and there we go. Now, one thing we want to be sure of every time we start with our new couching foot is to be sure, because it's a nice small hole, we want to make sure that the needle is going in that hole.
Oh, there would be a problem if it wasn't.
Yeah, we want to be sure of that. I would like to check that to be sure. Let's see here. Oh, on this machine we have our wheel right here. Okay, we're good. Nice and straight in there.
Perfect.
So now when we're starting, this one is a little bit different than most because it actually has two things done in there.
Two plies?
Yeah, kind of two pieces. So you have to be careful when you're loading that in. So we stabilize our stitches. We bring that bobbin thread up.
As usual?
Yes, and we do a few locking stitches.
Okay.
So I want to keep that tail because now what I'm going to do is I can use whatever thread. I'm likely to use a thread that's going to match. But what I need to do is I need to get this yarn through that tiny little hole.
How are you going to do that?
I know. And I'm sure the first original people, they actually threaded it through, but we don't want to have to do that. Oh. Now there's more than one way to do this, but what I do is I put it between the needle and the foot.
Yeah.
And then I bring it over so that the thread is away from that needle. And if I go down and up again, I have encased my yarn in a little loop of thread.
Of the thread, yes, yes.
And now if I hold these tails,
you pull it through.
And I move aside, there it goes.
Smart.
It's all laced in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
So that's wonderful. Now I want to put my stitches, I put it at about 10, and I put it on the Handy Quilter machines, I put it on precision, because I don't want extra stitches to be taken and kind of bunch that yarn up.
Oh, right, right.
So I need to keep it moving.
Yes.
So now I just need it to always flow freely. Don't tug on it because you don't want it to be away from where the needle is. Mm-hmm. And I am just going to free motion.
Oh, so you're just kind of guiding it.
Yeah. Now, you don't have to always do this, but sometimes on the smaller yarns, if there's a possibility that it might miss, I tend to, whichever direction I'm going, I just kind of guide it.
Help it
that way. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it depends on the yarn, but as I'm going, I'm just kind of using the fabric as my inspiration, and I might.
Oh. Wow, it's so easy.
Yeah.
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 Are you worried about your stitch length at all? Does it change with the different yarns?
I usually don't go too small.
Okay.
I kind of go 10 or 11 normally. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to go super small because I don't want it to take too many stitches and try to, force that yarn through quicker than I need it to.
And then too few stitches or too far apart,
right,
it wouldn't keep up with the yarn or vice versa.
Right. And if there's a time where you absolutely notice you've missed the yarn,
yeah,
I can just kind of stop right there, pull it back, and just restart.
Okay, so it's forgiving.
Yeah, and occasionally I might completely miss it. I might just go back when the yarn's not in the foot and just stitch over it to catch it.
Get it.
I mean, it happens occasionally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the small, it's kind of a trial and error of which foot to use for which yarn.
Yeah, because all yarns are different.
Right, yeah. So I could show a different kind of yarn with the medium foot.
Okay, perfect. So that's the pinky red one.
Yeah.
And also filling in is just going back and forth or going around. So it's really all the same technique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're basically, you can do free motion, but you can also do, if you have a pro stitcher, if you have the computerized.
Oh my goodness.
You can do it with that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So like this yarn.
Oh.
This is
That's a fuzzy
super
soft.
fun.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I did this next piece of fabric. I did this on a bigger piece and used it to make a bag. And I just kind of used the fabric as my inspiration. So I've tacked that down again. Bring this through.
Yep.
Go aside, down and up again.
That encases it.
And then
Pull it through.
Super easy.
That's almost self-threading.
Almost, almost. So I'll pull that aside. Let's see, there we go. Cut that thread. Okay. So, like I could just do a random.
Oh, cool. Gina, what do you do about the tails?
If it's a smaller yarn, I have been known to bury them between the layers. Okay, like to leave an extra, use a needle and do that. If it's bigger, then I probably would use some sort of fray check type product.
Yeah.
And when I'm done, I can just cut and then keep stitching and just go over it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple.
And I might put some fray check there at the end, and when I first start, I might, if I can think about going over it so that you just kind of, you know, tack it down.
That all makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. Now let's move over to these stencils. Now this was a stencil that came from where? It looks like Decorator something or other.
So that was out of a scrapbooking store.
Oh, really?
The idea that you could stencil either on paper or fabric or whatever. Now, so when I stenciled this, I am actually quilting the part that's not pounced. I used a pounce,
So the black.
I could either quilt it completely, or I might just use it as my base and choose what I want to quilt.
Oh, so you might not do all the curly cues or something.
Right. I might just make it a simple feather, but maybe I'm not good at doing feathers on my own, and so that helps me.
It's funny you say the word quilt, because I was about to correct you, you're not quilting, but you are, because you're going through batting here, so you're quilting and couching together. You're decorating and quilting. Oh, cool. Well, let's move on to the second foot, the glide foot.
Yeah, the glide foot. So that foot is a little bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it has lots of different uses. One is if it's going over some fullness, that it kind of just takes that in for you. Because the foot's hopping, and depending on your piecing, maybe it's a little creative.
Oh, this is the old saying of the long arm quilter can quilt it out, right?
Right. That glide is helpful for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, if you happen to have pop seams, or you get to the edge of the quilt and that little piece of fabric at the edge of the quilt wants to flip over.
Yes.
That helps it so it doesn't do that.
Okay.
Because people who are maybe quilting from the back and doing their pantographs, they can't see what's happening up front.
Yeah.
They're watching the design on the back. So this is where this is helpful for that.
Oh, good.
The other thing I thought, I love couching, as you can tell, that I thought, well, could we couch something with that? Because that has a little bit bigger hole, and there are some yarns that are just too big for the biggest couching foot. So I will put that on and show you what I did. There's a yarn that's called Super Bulky.
Oh, yeah.
And get my hanger. Now this is a plastic foot, so you just want to be careful not to muscle it. But I haven't had any problems. It works great.
And this one is just a quilting stencil.
Yeah, that's just a quilting stencil, and I'm going to use a thicker yarn that doesn't fit in the couching foot.
Yeah.
And I just go down, bring that thread up like I usually do, stabilize it, and then again I'm putting it through between and pull it over, go down, and then there it goes.
All ready to roll.
And so I've already finger traced my path so that I know, and I'm going to start it in a place where I can go over it at the very end to kind of catch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of securing your ends.
Yes. So now we just. And
oh, that's fun.
Isn't that
stuff.
fun?
It's so poofy. It's almost like
all sorts
cake
of things.
decorating with a pipe, like it's coming out. Oh, that's fun.
So we just can go, go, go.
Neato, neato, neato.
Yeah.
So what do you normally use the glide foot for? You're talking about it a little bit earlier.
Well, the glide foot is especially good for going around applique, because your hopping foot normally wants to hop, of course.
Yes.
And so the glide foot, you don't even notice that. It just goes right up against things. So we could do it on applique. The other thing is if you have lots of seams. Maybe you're doing a mariner's compass.
Where they come together.
Yeah, lots of seams.
So you have a
and
bump.
so it just glides right over.
Oh,
doesn't
nice,
catch on those.
nice.
And like I said, fullness. That takes in that fullness. And then the other thing is the edge of the quilt where the fabric wants to flip over. We can, the glide foot keeps it from flipping over. So it's a lot of people have started using the glide foot as their regular foot.
Did Handy Quilter anticipate that?
I don't know that they did, but it's a lot of people are really liking that.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Well, we have some samples of some of the things here, so.
Yes, this is just an example to show you if you had lots of little extra seams, the glide foot would be great for going up next to those. As well as, like, let's say you have rickrack on your thing and your regular foot wants to catch it.
Yep.
This, you can just go right up next to it, and it's clear so you can see where you're going.
Yeah, folded, inserted binding, all those things that I've tripped over before, even with a regular sewing machine.
And then I thought, well, what else can I do? I have my little niece Julia visiting me, and so I didn't do these on this. I actually have also a sit-down, so I did this on my sit-down. I could fit that into something else, do it on clear or on foam, just kind of fun.
What a great, quick thing. Yes.
Lots of fun things.
So that's 2 feet, but Gina's going to come back because there are 3 more feet, and we can't leave those out, right?
No, we got to see them all.
So Gina will be back. Look for 3 more feet in another episode of Quilt It, the Longarm Quilting Show. This is adorable.
Handy Quilter, designed by a quilter for quilters.